many of y'all speak a language other than English?
Yeah.
I grew up in the place where my parents said, if you don't speak Chinese at home, you're not eating. Because I like to eat, right? So I spoke Chinese. And this is what happened when I went to school for the first time, not knowing any English. So the first week of elementary, the school board labeled me mentally retarded. The principal wrote a letter to my parents. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Paul, we are placing your son in a special education program in classes with students closer to his level. I understand we may not speak the same language, but it is best if we spoke English. Sincerely, Mike Murphy, principal. Or was that it, Principal Murphy? Was it because I did not speak English, Principal Murphy? So yes, I got into trouble for making faces at my teacher because all the Down syndrome kids did it, and I wanted to fit in. I thought it was fun, playing with frogs all day, trapped within this world of plastic rings. So my mother and my father taught me to read at home in 5th grade this book called The Last One In Is a Rotten Egg. I read every word of that book out loud, words wriggling out of my mouth like crickets. I wrote every word of that book, copied after my father's military handwriting. So I went to school, hand in Mama's hand, to the green reading class. My son can read, she said. So Mrs. Brantley sat me down and gave me a book, much thinner than The Last One In Is a Rotten Egg. She told me to read one paragraph. And so I read, I finished, and I closed the book, and she looked at me, a little Asian boy with a Dutch last name, and she said, you didn't finish yet. And I looked at her, petrified, and she said again, no, you can't read that fast. Read it out loud now. And so I desperately wrestled with the words. I wanted to tell her that my tongue does not bend in that direction, and that these impossible inflections left me drowning my own saliva, so all I could spit out was, no. But see now, 10 years later, and I have become the rat on my mother's womb. I speak because every time my father was asked, you're speaking English, Mr. Chong Chong Kong? I hid my face from him because I was afraid to see his shame. See, prejudice is measured by the mouthful, and what we have is gluttony for ignorance. I speak because this language has conquered me, slapped me good and declared triumphantly, Steven, you're my bitch. And I turned to English and I said, what? But see now, there's a difference. I have refused to become a man trapped inside my name, and I may have been the last one in, but the only thing rotten is the forgotten memory of my father's shame. So I break into the surface of the deep end of the English Channel, walk upside down on the underside of my tongue, breathing water, treading freely beneath my bare skin. I gain my own freedom, and I roll, and I rise, and I curl the sky under my elbows. Saying so, now I teach English that my thoughts are the flesh of its words. And one day, I'm going to take my mother's hand, go back to McCormick Elementary, find Mr. Murphy, and tell him, we speak English, you and I, but not the same language.